Here we have the latest in Erica Synths Bullfrog range. Coming after the Bullfrog Synth, we have the Bullfrog Drums. And that demo track was inspired by these. It was the art of noise close to the edit. And these are Trevor Horn's glasses. If you've ever seen an image of him back in the 80s, he was likely wearing these glasses. And for some reason they were on eBay in the UK. When mate bought them, he's in Brussels, so I took them to Berlin to Superbooth to give to him, and I forgot to give them to him, but they've been in my bag for the past 3 days, hence Trevor Horn being on my mind. But the prescription on these is absolutely nuts. I can't see a thing. Interestingly, he also bought Prince's mixing desk from Dirty Mind, something else I'll try and get on the channel when I get a chance to pop over to Brussels and see him. Anyway, that's all beside the point. Back to the drum machine. There's also a mixer on the way which makes for a nice little set of synth, drums and a mixer with effects, and that set was on a show at Superbooth, and this is a selection of performances in the competition they were running, which is where I was lucky enough to get my hands on this one. The full versions of these are all on the Erica Synths YouTube channel, well worth a look. There was some really nice stuff going on. And the Bullfrog range is a collaboration with Richie Hawtin, who was there handing out sake, and this is my obligatory selfie with him. And I spoke to Gert from Erica Synths while I was there. He gave me this at the end of the show so I could do this demo. And he was saying how the original concept between Erica Synths and Richie Hawtin was to make synths and drum machines that kids could use, hence the chunky and colourful aesthetic. And the idea was that the kit would be quite simple, but grow in complexity as a child got more proficient, but adding that complexity in itself became complex. So what we've ended up with is some kit that's relatively simple to get hands on with, but you can go a lot deeper. And the units themselves are really well built, nice and chunky, and it feels like, because it is, a nice pro bit of kit. We've got the cherry keys here, like you get on the 909, and the whole operating system is very similar to the Hex drums. Again, another pro bit of kit with lots going on in it. So although it looks pretty simple, as I say, it's really quite deep. We've got accent, we've got micro timing, ratchets, rolls, odds, probability. We've got 7 tracks of samples. We've also got an 8th track where you've got CV out for a synth, so that's for the Bullfrog Synth. And on the sample track, we've got access to all these different parameters. We've got pitch, decay, loop point, so you can change the length of the loop, cutoff, resonance, drive, and pan. And we can parameter lock all of that, as well as being able to parameter lock the sample parameters as well, like the start and the end. Plus, we've got additional live performance features like mutes and solos. There's your mute, there's your solo. And we can link all these together for all the parameters. So you can do things like filter the whole lot at the same time. This next little demo is doing just that. So I'm using the CV outs, and I've put a glide on the CV out to the Dreadbox Hades, so you can hear it doing a little bit of an acid slide. I've also used the roll function on the voice and on the snare. That's tracks 2 and 6. You'll see me playing with these buttons. Yeah, just trying to squish a load of different things in it, so you can see it working as a really quite a complex live performance tool. And before we play with it, I'll just show you what connections we've got on the back. We've got USB-C, 5-pin DIN MIDI in and MIDI out. We've got a clock in, a clock out and a reset. We've also got the CV and the gate. Headphones, audio in. You can use this as a sampler. And then we've got a stereo audio out on a 12-volt DC. Plus up here, we've got a little microphone so you can sample direct, and we've got a speaker. Okay, I think the best way to show you how this works is just to create something from scratch and try and throw as many of the options as I can into it. So first thing, we need to load the patterns. So we've got patterns and kits. Patterns and kits are linked. You can change everything in the settings. If you go to Shift and 16, we're now in the different setting modes. So I'm not going to go through all of these with you, but there's 2 pages of them. The one that you might want to use is the USB here. So it might change because as they change the firmware updates, they put extra things in these. But at the minute, it's page 2, number 3, and that's for USB. And you use that for loading samples. So you can either sample yourself using the audio in or the microphone, or if you're like me, you'll prefer using your computer. And this just pops up as a drive and you just drop your samples onto that. But let's load the pattern. So we'll go to pattern again, and we've got 4 banks, 1, 2, 3, 4, and each of those banks has got 16 patterns in it. We don't have a song mode on this. It's more a performance tool. If we come to bank 2, we can see what we've got. Anything that's got 1 in there is lit, but I'll go to bank 3. I know there's nothing in this, so we'll go to bank 3, pattern 1. And if we load a blank kit as well, so we'll go to kit and we'll load, let's go to the same place, shall we? Bank 3, kit 1. 33, and there should be nothing in that. If we play, there's nothing in there. Let's come out of kit mode and we'll start loading some samples. So I want to go to track 1. So track 1, we're on track 1, hit sample, there's nothing in there. And we've got banks of samples again across here. It comes with 7 banks, each with 32. This doesn't have all those 32 in it, actually, because it's from the demo tent in Superbooth, as I say. So it's not quite got everything in it, but I'll show you what we've got. So hold sample and press one of these and you load the different banks. So you go straight to the different banks, or you can just scroll through. And you can hear these are really nicely curated samples. I won't go through them all, but there's some really nice kicks in this. So let's load one of them. Let's come back. That's quite a standard sounding thing, so just to keep things nice and simple for ourselves. To load it, hit it, so that's in there now. And if we want to play it, we can shift and tap, and now that's track 1, 2. There's nothing on these yet. So let's go to track 2 and we'll load a snare. So sample, go to the snare bank. What does this sound like? Let's go to, again, a sort of standardish one. Load it. So that's in there. So if we go to tap again, now let's put some hi-hats on 3 and 4. So track 3, sample, we'll go to the hats. Where was that? Was that 6 or 5? 6. So that'll do. A nice little clean and crisp closed hat. So load it. So now if we go to tap, we go. Let's put track 4, sample 4. Let's go to, whoops, sample. It was sample bank 6 or F. Find an open hat. We'll use this one, 16. So again, so let's start programming a beat, shall we? So we'll go back to, so we'll take tap off. You'd use that for real-time recording. And if you've ever used any drum machine, this is going to be really obvious. So let's come to track 1 and we'll enter some kicks. Simple as. Let's go to track 2 and put a couple of snares in. We all know what I'm doing here. Track 3, so we'll go to track 4 and put the open hats first. We also have tap recording. If I do the snare again, just using shift and tap, go to record mode. It does exactly what you'd expect it to do. Now these are all 16 steps by default, but we can extend them, make them longer. But first I'm going to go into the closed hi-hat, so track 3, and I'm just going to let's just completely fill it up. So there's no choke option on this that I've found yet. So if you want to take the closeds out where the opens are, you have to do that manually. But let's leave it as it is for now. We'll come into each of these and just do something slightly different with each of them. So we'll put the odds. So we've got odds or probability. So this is just me making it so that that'll only play every other one. We'll put that one once in every 4. We'll put this one 7 out of 8. You get the idea. And let's just change the probability. So you've got either probability or odds. Odds means it'll play on every other bar. If it's 1/2, for example, if it's 50%, it's got a 50% chance. So it may or it may not, but over the course of time, it will have played to 50% of them. But if you want anything really strict and rigid, which is quite useful to do actually a lot of times, is to use the odds. And I'll show you why in a minute, or how I use it really in a minute. So these closed hats will be playing sort of slightly randomly. There you go, things are happening. Not doing the same thing on every bar. But if we wanted to do something over the course of 4 bars, for example, let's go to the snare, track 2. We'll go to last step, bar 4, 16. So this will play over those 4 bars now. So we go to bar 1, we've got it hitting there and there. Bar 2, let's do that again. Bar 3, we'll do the same on bar 4. Let's add a load of, like a little roll at the end, something like that. So on the 4th bar, it'll play all them. Bar 2, let's have it doing something like a little skip. Now you'll notice here that they're all at the same volume. You can put accents on these, and then it acts like a 909, where you've got sort of a half volume. I say a half volume, it's a lower volume, and then you hit it again, it goes brighter, and then you've got a higher volume. You can set this to be global, but it's nice to do it on the snares, I find. So this one here, let's have that as a little skippy one. So if we play this, it's a 4-bar loop. That was the little skippy one. But if we want to play that roll every 8 bars, you can use the odds to do that. If we come to bar 4 then, and we'll try and put some probability or odds on this roll. So let's play it every other time it gets to it, and it gets to every 4 bars, so it'll only play once every 8 bars. It would be nice if you could do it so only played on the last one of the bars. So rather than playing on bar 1 of 2 bars, if it played on bar 2 of 2 bars. So if you had a 4-bar loop, it doesn't play at the end of the 4 bars, it plays at the end of the 8 bars. But let's play. So this now should play the whole lot. But next time it gets round to bar 4, it won't play all of those. So with a bit of due diligence, you can have much longer than just the 4 bars. But as I say, it would be nice if they could add a few more options to those odds. Let's add something else. Let's go to track 5 and we'll go to the sample, and we've got nothing in there at the minute. We go to a sound effect. They were on E, were they? 5, yeah. So that's all right. Let's just load that. So if we go to tap, we've got, maybe try something else. I know, let's find a long one. We'll use that. And I'll show you why in a second. But if we play, I don't know, let's make this one 2 bars long, shall we? So go to last step, bar 2, 16. Let's play. So let's take it off tap. Bar 1, we'll have it coming in there maybe. Bar 2 there and there. The reason I picked the long one is so that we can start playing with the sample length. I'll do that using parameter lock. So if we come to the bar 1, come to this one, and we've got the sample end. So let's just make it really short. So you can have different sample lengths per sample on each of the tracks. So let's go to bar 2. So that's going to be a long one. Let's make this one short as well. Sample end. You can also have different start points per step, which means you can fake having more than 7 tracks in it. Long one, short. Not very musical, but I'm just giving you an idea how you do those things, because you can't actually change the gate length on these, the gate length sets. It will just play the sample as is. So it'll play to the end, no matter how long it is. To clear the parameter locks, shift and clear, and now they should have gone. Yeah, so everything's going to be the same length. Okay, let's try and do something a little bit more musical now, shall we? Something, I don't know, like that. Let's speed it up. Let's change the pitch of that one. Maybe make them a bit shorter. So if I'm not pressing any of the keys, I'm making them all a bit shorter. Bit of filtering. So this is filtering low pass and high pass. It's quite nice. We've got this lovely drive on this. Put that on the kick, so go to track 1. Add a bit of drive. And let's do it on the snare as well. Getting better, isn't it? Sounding more like it. Let's throw a clap in, and then let's do a bit of micro timing on the clap. So let's go to track 6, go to the sample, and it was, where were the claps? I think that was them. That's all right, let's load that one. And then let's just throw it on there, shall we? So. Maybe add a bit of drive on that, so we can hear it. So some micro timing, so shift, anything in white here is a shift function, so micro time. Let's hit this, and then let's make it early. Make it late. Let's make it very late, so that's half a step late. Or maybe let's ratchet it, so let's put it back in time, go to ratchets. Can't really hear it on this, let's drop the decay. There you go. Up to 8. So let's put 8 there, and let's put some on there as well. Let's take a look at some performance functions now, and we'll start off with rolls, as this is on the ratchet button, although it's not labeled there. I don't know if this is a demo unit or an early pre-production unit and it's not got it on, or whether it's just a firmware update that they've put in and it's not going to be on any of them. I couldn't tell yet. So shift ratchet gives us roll, and we're rolling at 16ths at the minute. So if we play, these are all lit. So, and then when we're in roll mode, if we press shift, when we use any of these, we're doing it, affecting them all. And when we hit shift again, it'll go back to what it was. So if we hold shift and come, press that. And again, you saw me doing that in that previous demo. Another thing I was using was the mutes. So if we hit mute, you can see nothing's lit there. When they're lit, they're muted. So play, take the kick out, take the snare out, that little roll out, bring them back in. We've also got solo here as well. So shift and mute gives us solo. So whichever I hit is going to solo. You can't add to the solo. If you hit this now, it'll just be the hi-hat that we hear. You've got to hit all three. So let's come out of that. Or put the mutes back on. Then go into roll. Did you get roll there? Oh, I've muted it. Yeah, come on, put your brain in gear. Shift. And the mute back in. That's why you got to rehearse a performance. Anyway, we want to save that kit because we've just been playing with it. So kit 33 is the one we loaded, which was empty at the time. So to save the kit, we're on kit, record it, and this is lit here. We're on bar 3 or bank 3 and 1. So that's saved. The pattern will save the kit with the pattern. Well, it doesn't save the kit with the pattern. It refers to the kit that you were using. So if you change the kit, you'll change the pattern or the feel of the pattern. But pattern, record, again, same one, saved. So they're in there now forever. Yeah, I think that gives you a good overview of how you create things. I'll just save that pattern again, so record there. If I wanted to save it anywhere else, I could save it anywhere else. I've now saved it on 34 as well. So that's saved. To load something else, let's go to pattern. Let's go to one of those demos I played earlier. So that's loaded in the kits that I was using with that pattern. You'll notice this is playing for full 64 steps. And that's because I've set the master time. So last step, and then push the encoder, the master is 64. So it won't change pattern until it's hit the 64 steps. So that's about all there is to say, I think, about programming it. It is quite deep. You can do an awful lot of stuff on it, but you can just go surface level and keep things really simple. No song mode, as I say, because it is a performance tool, but it's got a really nice, easy, intuitive interface. It's really quite simple to use. There are a couple of things missing on it that I'd like in the pattern setup. For example, the choke I mentioned earlier, it just makes life easier for me. And also a gate length on the samples. You can change them, as I showed. You can change the sample length and you can change the decay time, but a gate length will be a simpler way of doing things. But although it's only 7 tracks long, if you're clever about it, you can have 512k per sample. I think that's 5 seconds per sample. Because you can change the start and the end points, that means that you could have, I don't know, a forward vocal, a reverse vocal, and something else. You could have 3 samples on the one track, and you could go in and you can actually program where you're playing that sample. So you can fit a lot more than just 7 on there. If you want, if you've got something on your door or something that you want to play live and you haven't quite got enough room in there, you can find extra room. The other thing I haven't shown you yet is the CV. It was on that demo when I played it with the, it's still plugged in, with the Dreadbox Hades, CV and gate out, and they're on the back, as I say, and they're in track 8. Let's load that pattern from the earlier demo. I'll go to track 8. Now, I forgot to save it, so you can see nothing's lit, but this is how you do it. You've got your key, you change the note. And if you press shift and turn, it'll go up by the octaves. So, relatively simple to do this. And then if we want to slide on any of those, we use the accent function. Accent function, when we're in CV mode, gives you a slide. Hit the key and it lights up a little bit lighter, so those would have a slide on. It's not set up to do that now, but we heard it earlier. It's really simple to do. Something we've got on the CV tracks that we don't have on the sample tracks is gate. So hold the key, gate length, 100 gives you a tie, so that's 90%. So that's pretty simple to use as well. Since we started recording this, Erica Synths have brought out a really nice firmware update. Version 1.1 gives us sort of fake time stretching. Essentially what it does is it splits a 4-beat loop into 16 steps and parameter locks the start point to each of those steps. I'll show you what I mean because that doesn't make much sense. Let's go to pattern number 35. There's nothing in this one. Okay, track 1, and we'll load a sample in. We'll go to Let's try with this one actually. So let's load that. And now if I play that, we're going to get a gap because that beats at about 140 BPM. If we speed this up to 140, here we go. Should be in time or near enough, okay? But now, if we slow it down again, obviously, it's going to go completely out of time. So we'll now put it onto every step, and then we'll use the new magic function, start and track. So that's parameter locking a different start point on each of the steps. So it's not time stretching like you think of traditional time stretching, it's just splitting the sample up. And you heard those little flams there, and that's because it's playing so slow, it's starting the next step. I'll show you what I mean again. So got an old school archive vibe that, hasn't it? But we can get rid of that using a new magic trick as well. So end point and track, and now it will parameter lock the end point of each of the steps. Bad. So you get a little gap between each of the steps when it's going slow because it's only playing a little slice of it. Let's try another sample, shall we? Let's go to, I've got a nice little percussive sample in here. Let's use that. This is at 130 BPM. Doing okay down in the 90s. Okay, so the natural speed for this was 130, I think. Then a really nice little trick that, and it does it with the loop points as well. I've not really mentioned looping too much, but there's an awful lot of ways it can loop. If you look at these charts here from the manual, you can see that the different combinations of start points, end points, looping points give you all sorts of variation in how the samples can work. I'm not going to demo all that here. It's just worth noting that you can actually do all that. I will show this though, just a little on sample management really. If we go to the configuration settings again, so page 2, number 3, USB, hit this, and it'll appear as a drive on your computer. So here we've got the kits that I've got saved. So the ones I did earlier are down there at 30, 33, I think. Patterns, and then the samples. So we've got A to K, and these are the ones I put in myself here, the Art of Noise ones. You got to label them from 1 to 32, well 64 you can have in each one. There's like the Lin EEPROMs, the drum tracks, and then those loops I've just been playing with as well. And R are the recordings, and that's the one we recorded earlier. It's not the first time I did it. I've deleted a load of junk I put in earlier. But yeah, so these are the kick drum samples. As I say, I've not got all 32 in this one. Should tap up Erica Synths and ask them for an update, shouldn't I? We've got 37 in that one, so who knows? But anyway, lots of room for samples. And I did say the sample time was about 5 seconds, I think, earlier, but looking at this, it'll go just over 10 seconds, but it's 512K. I'll just briefly show you how you record samples on this. We're in a track, let's go to track 1, sample. We've got no samples loaded, so sample and record. We're in sample record mode now, and we can see that it's using this mic here. So if we source, we could change that source to the line in, and then we'd use the line in, but we'll leave it at the mic for now. Okay, so we can change the level. The level's fine. We've got monitor on or off, and that means it'll play what you're hearing through the monitor, which we don't want to do because otherwise I'll get feedback. Next up, we've got threshold, and this is where it'll start recording at what level. So 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. We'll start recording at 3. Next along is a sine. And this means it'll assign it to the track that you're actually playing at the minute, which we were on track 1, so we'll assign it to track 1. And then to record, just hit record. So Starsky Carr playing the Bullfrog, or recording myself on a Bullfrog. Goes up to about 10 seconds. But now, if we press play,
Starsky Carr,
that's the ping.
Bullfrog, or
yeah,
recording myself,
which we want to get rid of that. So let's get rid of that start.
Playing the Bullfrog, or recording myself on a Bullfrog.
And if we look down here, if I change the start point, you can see the whole sample's all the step buttons lit. So if I move that start point, we can see these moving. So if we play that now, or move the end point.
On a Bullfrog.
So that will automatically have been saved now in the R folder, the record folder. You can put whatever you want in the first 15 folders. There's A to P. In fact, if we look at this, the ones at the end here don't exist yet because I've not put anything in them. So you'd have to do that via your computer. I've done that with these few here. And you can put up to 64 samples in each of those 15 folders. But anything that's recorded on the machine itself goes into the R folder. So if we come into the R folder, there you go, you can hear me. Let's load me in and play. That's all pretty painless, isn't it? It's really simple to do. You can't look at sample accurate stuff. You know, you're not looking at a graph there. You've only got these 16 buttons to represent the whole of the wavelength, so you've got to use your ear. But if you do want to go sample accurate and you're recording something specific, just upload it from your computer. And I've been doing an awful lot of that with a couple of my vintage drum machines. Followed this pattern here. These are my Lindrum EEPROM samples. What have I got on 14? I did have something on that as well. Oh yeah, that's the drum tracks, and that's just me finding some stuff I've got on the computer, throwing it into this and just seeing how easy it is to use. And as you can see, it's all pretty standard stuff. I have had a little bit of a step up because I have got the hex drums and the operating system is very similar, as I said at the start. But if you've used any drum machine, you know, you won't have any problem using this. I like the fact it's got this nice, simple interface, yet it can still go pretty deep. And I think I've showed everything that I wanted to show in this. I've showed Trevor Horn's glasses, I've played one of his tracks, I've sampled stuff, I've played with the sounds from it and some of the presets that were on this or things that people have put on it in Superbooth. But yeah, it's a lovely little thing. It is €600, so it's not cheap. It is a professional bit of kit. It feels like a professional bit of kit. I like that it's simple, or can be super simple, and isn't like a small plasticky thing. It's quite a nice thing. It's not for everyone, obviously, because of the price, but I think it's going to have a lot of fans. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was of some use to somebody somewhere. If it was, please do subscribe, ring the bell, join me over on Patreon. I'll throw all the samples I've got on this onto my Patreon, so you can use them whether you've got the Bullfrog or not. And also do take a look at my starskycar.com website. Again, patches, samples, stuff you can buy, free bits and bobs. And as I always say, it's nice if you even pick up some of the really cheap stuff, because everything does really help to support the channel. So thanks for staying to the very end, and I will see you next time.